Bill Baldwin, Forbes contributor. Bill, I believe you've been writing about taxes for 40 years at this point.
And writing about how to get through college financially for a shorter time.
Thank you for that. Of course, I send my kids to college in Canada, so I recommend it highly for Canadians. But
for Canadians, I can't do that with my kids. Darn.
Still very, very reasonable, and yet I also contribute to 529. So that is my tax strategy. I presume is that the best thing and the only thing I could do?
It's definitely not the only thing, but it's a powerful thing if you start when they're young. So you can start your 529 as soon as the kid is born. And let's just suppose the kid is 1 month old, and then 18 years later, that kid's going off to college. You put $10,000 into some fund, and 18 years later, it's $20,000. The $10,000 gain is not taxed as long as that 529 account is used for the intended purposes. If it isn't, you will pay tax on the gain, and you will pay a penalty. But there's lots of ways to avoid paying that penalty. And in particular, you've got an out. Did you know that? This might not apply to a lot of our
audience. I actually have excess in my 529. And the $10,000 you mentioned is for obviously a married couple. I think it's a $5,000 deduction in New York for a single person.
I haven't even gotten into the deduction. I'll get to that in a minute. But the main thing is for the federal taxes.
Right.
If you were to double your money or just increase it a little bit, that gain is never taxed if the 529 is used for tuition, et cetera. And there's some other things you can use it for, including secondary education up to a point, and paying off student loans up to a point. There are all kinds of complicated rules, but basically you can put a lot of money into a 529 and the growth is never taxed as long as it's used properly. Now, you happen to live in New York, I think, so do I. So we also get a deduction on our state income taxes.
Not every state allows that.
Lots of states do. And again, you have to use it for the intended purposes. If not, you have to give the deduction back in a later year. But that's a small part of it. I think the big thing is that if you make a lot of money on this account over 18 years, then that profit isn't taxed.